Last time we selected the records with the missing value for admission date or discharge date. So there are 8 rows. By the way, I forgot to mention that for this data statement, it's going to create a data set, and for that reason, now we have the fourth window, which is called output data. So every time the data steps creates a data set, it's going to automatically switch to the output data. Then you can view the view the data there. So on the left there is a panel tell you all the columns. On the right is an outlook of the data, and upper you can see the total rows and total columns there. All right. Anyway, so for this 8 rows, we will see that some are missing admission date, some are missing discharge date. So now, what if we have a data set excluding those with missing values? So excluding missing values, excluding rows with missing values from row hospital. Okay, so we're gonna say that data test2 set s dot row hospital again, but this time instead of say admin date is missing or equals to missing, we're gonna say not equal to missing. Also, discharge date, this time it is not or, it is and discharge date not equal to missing. So here I just show you that actually the not equal to can be expressed by different ways. Alright, so we're gonna run that. And we have 2000 records, excluding that 8 records, right? So these are the data set. And now let's check it again, that in this sub data set excluding those missing values, what is the earliest admission date, discharge date, what are the latest dates. So we're gonna bring back that tablet trick again, and this time we're gonna use the test2 as the source data, and we're gonna run this part again, and we will see that excluding those missing values, and now we have the data sets all within the 2007, right? It sounds like if we have a data we have the date range within year 2007, and then it should be okay. We don't have missing values, right? So for that reason, we're gonna say that we're gonna keep rows or records from s.row hosp, keep these records within 2007. How about that? So basically we're gonna have another data set, and from the raw data set, okay, and but this time instead of use if, I'm using another condition term. It's called a where. So what are the conditions? We're going to say admin date should between January the 1st, 2007 and 31 of December 2007. Okay, so note here is that if you want to express a date value, this is the right way. So you wrap the date, then months, and then year. Then you wrap that with an apostrophes, and then add a D there. So this is to represent the values inside is the date. But hold on, we have a problem here because this admission date is actually in the format of date and time. Right? Remember? So that one is actually the number of seconds between this admission date and January the 1st, 1996 at 0 hours, 0 minute, and 0 second. Right. So that number is like this. But the value here, which is in a date format, actually these are number of days between this and January the 1st, 1960. So these are dates, and these are seconds. These are not apple to apple. So we're gonna make that apple to apple and change that to dates. All right. So how to change a date time value into dates? Very simple. So we just have the function called the date part. So the date part of this date time value is the date, right? And that's it. But hold on, this is not all the conditions. We're gonna have another condition, which is the departure date. No, the date part of this charge date should be within this, right? So we should have both of these two conditions, and don't forget to put the comma at the last. Right? So here, why I use where instead of if? Because when you use if, it is not allowed to. When you use if, yeah. So when you use if, you're not allowed to use between and. So when you use where, it is allowed. That's why I'm going to use where. But where and if are kind of different. We're going to see that later. So let's just run this code. And the result is that we're going to have 2000 records from the original 2008, right? And these records are within the year 2007. All right. So now let's check the log. So the log file says there were 2000 observations read from the dataset raw hospital. And the result is 2000. But hold on. That previously, remember that in this raw hospital, actually we have 2008 observations. So why it says 2000 here? Let's do the data step to create this test 2 again. So this one is using the if condition. So let's check the log file, and it says that there were 2008 observations read from the data set, and then there are 2000, right? So these two lines implies that there is a source data set. Let's just go back and draw something here. Let's say that there is a source data set. Okay, there is a source data set somewhere, and there is a let's change this is the target data set, right? So in this case, the source data set is raw hospital. The target data set is test 2. They're going to use if, right? But when it says read into, it implies that there is a third one, which is called a temporary data set. Sorry. So in this property, we're going to change, it's called a temp, yeah, or a memory, whatever. So actually it has a name for it. We're going to talk about that later. It is called it's called a PDV, or stands for so the PDV stands for program data vector. Anyway, all right, so there is a temp here. It's not that it's gonna read the source data into this temp and then write into this target data set. That's how it works out, right? So the if is going to work here. So if you link these two, link these two and this, so that one becomes a flow. So from the source data set into the temp and then to the target. All right. So the if state and the condition is going to apply here. So all the data rows, like 2008 data rows, will be read into this temp data set, and then if is going to apply here. So only those satisfy the conditions are going to will be written into the target data set. The rest are going to leave in the temp, and when the step is done, this one get removed. But where condition is going to work here. So when it read into the temporary data set, it only selected those records satisfying the conditions. All right. So that's why when we apply where, there are only 2,000 records read from the source data set. Why we have to know that? Well, it's obviously that if you're using where statement, then you're going to save a lot of memory and time, because if the condition is not satisfied, SAS, the program, will not even bother to read that into the temporary, which takes memory, right? But there are limitations, because in some of the cases you have to use if instead of where. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop there because this video is too long.